Yo, what is going on, guys? We're back today for another video, and if you're watching this on Tuesday, well then Battlegrounds Season 5 should be coming out tomorrow. So I figured this is the perfect time to talk about the new meta and a little bit early theory crafting, what I'm thinking, give you guys my advice, tips, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So the victory track is looking so much better than last month. Now, a lot of people enjoyed last month's meta, and personally, I did too, to an extent, but it felt like a gladiator circuit meta. Now that's the problem. The victory track shouldn't feel like the gladiator circuit. So it's refreshing to have a meta like this going forward. We have the first node is basically a nothing node. It doesn't matter a ton. Blood in the water. While the attacker is suffering from a debuff, the defender gains a passive fury, granting 150% attack rating, lasting until all the debuffs on the defender expire. Like, unless you get hit, this really isn't going to be much of a factor. The second node, though, this is the big one. So long distance relationship, and this node is also going to be triggering this node. But like I said, this one's not a big deal. Let's focus on this one, long distance relationship. So when you're close to the defender, we're going to be getting weakness debuffs. Now, these weakness debuffs lower attack by 10%. That is a lot. That is quite a bit. And so it's every 3 seconds that you're close, and then you just gotta, back up, and then they'll fall off. So there's gonna be some champions that really benefit from this, and you're gonna need certain champions to combat this as well. But for the most part, I don't think this meta is gonna be restrictive at all. I would say, like, whatever deck you typically use, you're probably gonna keep about 69% of it intact, maybe a little less, 66.666 or something like that. But 20 champions, your base 20 level champions in your deck, your go-to attackers, defenders, dual threats, those should be staying. Now for the last 10 spots, that's what I'm going to be talking about. Some champions to maybe incorporate into your deck for this season. For the most part, like, use your best champs, but there are some champs that are really going to excel, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. And honestly, it really is about two classes, if you ask me. I think there's going to be two main class types to deal with this node. One class type really benefiting from it on defense, and the other class type is going to be needed to counter it. So I think the science class is going to be extremely powerful on defense for this meta. Because there's champions, like Void. Void is going to be probably the absolute best defender for this meta. Void, basically, if you don't know why, whenever you're fighting Void, if you have debuffs on you, he is just going to be making you take a lot of damage. So when you're fighting Void here with this node, like, you're just going to get weakness debuffs on you. Okay, you get one, you back off, it falls off. You're still going to be taking damage, and then that slows down the fight. And things escalate, and then, Void is going to start placing debuffs on you, and if you don't do enough hits, you're not going to be purifying them and all this stuff. It can really easily get out of hand. So Void is going to be an absolute menace. I predict that Void will probably be the most banned champion in the next meta. Bit of a bold prediction, but yeah, that's what I'd say. So definitely have a Void in your deck. Definitely have Void. He is going to be the MVP defender. Now, other science champions, I think, can be really solid here, too. Spider-Ham, I think, is going to be an absolute menace. He applies taunts to you and power sting debuffs. So what taunt does is it lowers your attack rating. I mean, we have it here. Let's see what it is. Where are the taunts that this guy has? Porker Popper. Is it on special one? Does he apply the taunt? Yeah. Okay, here's the taunt. It doesn't say the potency on the taunt, but I think it lowers attack rating by, I want to say, around 30%. It's not giving me an exact number here, but I think it is somewhere around 30%. So, that if you have the taunt in the opponent and just one of the weakness debuffs, from this node here, that's going to be like a 40+% attack lowering. That's really going to drag fights out. So I think Spider-Ham is going to be an incredible defender. I think Quicksilver is going to be a pretty solid defender. And guys, keep in mind that all of this, everything that I'm talking about right now, gets amplified by one mastery. And that is the Inequity mastery here that I have maxed out. Recently bought 2 carb cores to max this mastery out, and I highly suggest getting at least 1 point in this mastery. It's going to really benefit you, and it's going to make these champions that I'm mentioning be even better. They're already going to be so good as defenders, and this mastery here, it just takes it to a whole new level, because this just adds more weakness, more damage reduction for the amount of debuffs. So, you know, with Quicksilver, he can apply a lot of debuffs. The fight can get out of hand. I think he is going to be really solid for this meta. I'm probably going to be rank 4ing my Quicksilver now for this meta. So yeah, Quicksilver I think is going to dominate. I think Anti-Venom's going to be pretty annoying on defense as well. This guy already regens up a lot. And then on top of that, he also applies debuffs. So if you have Inequity as well, it's going to be more lowering of attack. And it's just going to drag fights out with the regen, with the weakness. I think he's going to be a pretty solid defender. I think I-Bomb could do all right on defense. You know, if you hit into I-Bomb's block, he applies weakness debuffs. He applies a Petrify debuff on the special 1. So again, if you're running Inequity, that's more debuffs, more damage reduction. Plus, he requires, you know, poison counter. And then I think as far as other science champions, there's a couple more. Mr. Fantastic, I think, can be... Oh, he's going to be so annoying because... You know, he already lowers your special attack damage, and as soon as you use a special, by the end of it, that's 2 debuffs on you. Again, if you're running Inequity, that's going to be, oh my god, so much damage reduction. Yeah, he's going to be so good on defense. Who else? Jessica Jones. I think she's always going to be good on defense. I don't know about this meta specifically, but I think she's one of the best defenders in recent times. Really want her. And then the other champion that comes to mind, this one is a little bit more out there, but Invisible Woman. I think she has some pretty high potential. I was looking at it and I was thinking about ranking her. Because, you know, she has her force field that already lowers damage. She also applies debuffs. I think different debuffs when she's invisible and with her shield. I think some of them are exhaustion and some of them are... I mean, like I said, her abilities here, I can see. I love Aunt May, dude. It is a game changer. What are the debuffs that she applies? Let's see here. She applies... Just gotta find it. When attacked, yeah, so the exhaustion. So what does that do? Exhaustion decreases critical damage rating. So it's gonna be lowering crits, and it also power gains reduced as well for exhaustion. So these can get stacked up, and again, if you're running Inequity, more damage reduction, critical damage reduction with that, like plus the force field, plus the invisibility. Yeah, I think Invisible Woman can be a really big sleeper for this meta. So yeah, those are the science champions that I think are going to be really, really solid for this next meta. Titania could do all right as well. She does apply a fair bit of debuffs. So yeah, but it's not... It's more through like blocked hits and then like fall off kind of fast. Unless she's like actually wailing into you, you know, she's not going to be applying that many debuffs. But she does have the highest female health pool in the game. So yeah, she's probably going to be in my deck. So... She could be an alright defensive option. So those are the defenders that I think are really going to shine in this next season of Battlegrounds. And then, of course, to combat all of these annoying defenders and these nodes, we look to the skill class. So the skill class, man, skill class is going to be feasting in this next meta, man. And there are definitely a few champs that really come to mind. So I think, dude, Zemo, oh man, if any of you guys have a Zemo, he's going to be a god in this next meta. He's going to be so good, man. He's going to be nutty. He is going to be nutty. I wish I had him. I wish he was in the next feature too, but at least Absorbing Man is. So yeah, but no one really, not too many people have Zemo, so let's move on. I think Blade is going to be, wait, Blade? No, never mind, not Blade. I was thinking that for a different meta. Crossbones, though. Crossbones is going to be one of the best champs for this meta. Absolutely one of the best champs, but that is mainly through his signature ability here. So Rumlow's Brutal Hydra Training allows him a 40 to 90% chance to purify incoming debuffs. Each time he does so, he gains a Fury buff. Chance temporarily decreases for consecutive triggers. So this will be absolutely perfect because The only downside, like the weakness to this signature ability, well, one, you need to have high sig, which sucks because I think my crossbones is only sig 20. But you know, let's just say you have a sig 200 crossbones. Your name's Karate Mike. He's rank 4. You know how to use him, right? The weakness to this is when there's like multiple debuffs triggering. So you know, like if you're fighting a hazard shift and like you get unlucky 3 hits in a row, you get 3 debuffs applied to you. You know, crossbones is going to purify one of those. You know, not all 3. But with this weakness node, it's every 3 seconds. So that is definitely a big enough window for Crossbones to keep shrugging. And once he shrugs, he's just going to turn it into Fury. That's just going to feed him more damage. So yeah, Crossbones is looking like an absolute stud for this next meta. Really keep your eye out for Crossbones. But again, you definitely want the high sig for him to really thrive. Alright, what else we got? I think Falcon, not going to be the greatest because he has no debuff shrugging or cleansing or purification, but I think he'll be alright. I don't know. Not sure about him. Kingpin. Kingpin is going to be probably the best attacker for this meta overall. Definitely one of the best. Kingpin has a really, really powerful shrugging ability. Incoming debuffs. Rage. What is it right here? So Kingpin gains a second rage. 60% has to purify and gain 1 rage. Yeah, the purifying on Kingpin is just bonkers. Kingpin was insane for the hazard shift meta. Just so many debuffs, so many purifying, so many turning it into overpower, so much more damage. And I recently took my Kingpin to rank 4. So he's gonna be eating. Kingpin is gonna be feasting in this next meta. I could see Kingpin being one of the most banned attack options. Him and Crossbones both. I can easily see that. Kingpin gonna be just a god. Kingpin, like, he's usually a god, and yeah, this meta is gonna be very, very, very good for him, I'm thinking. All right, who else? Korg. Korg can shrug, you know. Dude, honestly, Korg might have actually been not too bad for the last meta, because he does have armor break, but I was just thinking about that today. But yeah, you know, Korg will be a god on defense, as per usual. Mole God, I might have to re-rank up my Mole Man, because his shrug rate is really, really solid, you know, outside of the Frenzy. It's very, very reliable. I think Mole Man's going to do a very, very good job in this meta. And then we also have, you know, Shang-Chi. I think he'll do great. You know, he has easy access to his cleanse with his Wushu Strike combos. You've got to go for a medium, light, medium here, and you purify 3 debuffs, gain 1 indefinite cleanse. So yeah, he's going to be extremely good for that next meta. You know, just guaranteed cleanse that you can easily control. Guaranteed crits on the special 2. Yeah, man, Shang-Chi going to be unreal for that next meta. He's going to be really great. And then I'd say there's 2 other champions that really, really come to mind, and that is Valkyrie. So Valkyrie, the way she works is a little weird, but with her shrugging ability, it's up to a 90% chance, but it is based on her block proficiency. So it's right here. When when afflicted by a non-damaging debuff, which the weakness debuffs will be, or you know, voids debuffs, Valkyrie's conviction gives her up to a 90% chance to purify it, scaling with her block proficiency. So I wouldn't want to bring Valkyrie like against a void. I would much rather bring like a Kingpin against void, or you know, some other champs. But I think Valkyrie's going to be really solid for just most generic fights, you know. But I don't trust her shrug ability nearly as much as some other champs. It's let me down. It's gotten me killed in Alliance War before, and that was with synergies increasing said block proficiency. So yeah, you know, it's definitely not guaranteed. Be careful with Valkyrie, but I do think she will be really, really solid in this meta, but just definitely not one of the best. And then I think the last champ that really comes to mind is my boy Nick Fury. Bro, Nick Fury is incredible. He has he definitely has the most uniquely coded purifies in the game, which is when he knocks the opponent down. Is it Battle Scars? No, it must be basic attacks. Yes. Wait, no. Yes, here we go. So knocking down the opponent purifies Nick's non-damaging debuffs. Now, this is why I say this is coded weirdly, is because when Nick Fury does this, he temporarily goes debuff immune. Or I guess it would be non-damaging debuff immune for like a second or two after the opponent's knocked down, which is really weird. And you can test this for yourself. Like you can, if Nick Fury knocks you down, you're fighting him, he knocks you down, and then you try to parry him like right after, and you'll see immune pop up, even though he's not stun immune. You know, even in his first life, no stun immunity nodes, you'll see the immune pop up, and it's really weird. It's really weird. But this is an extremely powerful shrug. All you have to do is use a heavy or a special, knock the opponent down, and boom, all your debuffs, non-damaging, are gone. And I think with enough tackle charges, it's all debuffs. Where is it? Yeah, if you have 10 or more charges, you purify all debuffs, but that's not really going to be needed for this meta because it's just a weakness. So, yeah, I do think Nick Fury is going to be really solid, but of course, you know, Nick is also really good on defense, so it'll have to be he'll be a really good champ to draft for those reasons. He'll be a viable defender and a very viable attacker. So yeah, I might have to even take my Nick Fury sig up even more so I can try to finish fights with 100% more. It's just easier to do at a higher sig. My Nick's only like sig 90. But yeah, guys, that's really the standouts for me for this next meta. Really, I think it's all going to be all about these two classes for the meta specifically. You know, because outside of these classes, you know, most champs, they're going to be functioning fairly normal. Like I said, you're going to have your base Battlegrounds deck for this new meta. And then just like I'd say like I like to have like the same 20 champs in basically every deck. And depending on the meta, the last 10 champs will change. Or maybe 5 champs. It depends on the type of meta, right? And this meta is definitely not going to be restrictive at all compared to the previous meta. So yeah, guys, that's my early thoughts. You know, I'm recording this before the meta's come out. I haven't done any fights in this meta. No one has, so I can't say for sure. This is just early ideas, theory crafting, but you know, been playing this game for a long time. I do know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty good at Battlegrounds, so you know, you can trust what I'm saying here to an extent. You know, don't base all your next rank 4s on this video, but you know, I have a decent idea. I have a decent idea of what's going to work. And yeah, I really think Void is going to be best defender, and I'd say Kingpin probably going to be the best attacker overall for the next meta. So if you guys have those in your deck, you're going to be looking pretty good. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope that you guys did enjoy, and remember, inequity, it's going to be very, very important in this next meta. If you're fighting someone and you're just doing like no damage and your damage seems really low, it's probably because they have this mastery maxed out. It's very, very powerful. Very powerful mastery. That's gonna do it for this video though, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. If I helped you in any way, I would really appreciate you dropping a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content. I will be streaming tomorrow, Wednesday, not as soon, but definitely, yeah, on the day that the new season starts, we'll be running through the first couple of ranks through the victory track, and we'll be figuring out and seeing if these theories hold true, if these champions really do work as good as I think they will. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.